Hindi mo inumpisa ng search doon sa Batangas.
Hindi pa computerized doon, Your Honor.
Kahit na. Hindi ba, ikaw ba ay ngayon lang hindi ka ba naging register of deeds?
Your Honor, to be...
No, tinatanong ko lang.
Hindi pa po, hindi po.
Hindi.
Yes, sir.
Hindi, wala kang experience tungkol sa mga kaso ng lupa.
Meron po.
Meron. So alam mo na sa bawat probinsya may register of deeds at may libro yan.
Yes, Your Honor.
At nandun ang listahan ng mga titulo. Di ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Na hawak ng register of deeds mo sa bawat probinsya at bawat lungsod sa Pilipinas. Di
Yes,
ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ngayon, at yun, titingnan mo lang, alphabetical yun eh. Di ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Bakit hindi mo inumpisahan sa Batangas?
Inumpisan ko po sa mga areas na malapit na computerized, Your Honor.
Bakit nga?
Para mas madali po sana makakuha ng information, Your Honor.
Kung may lupa siya sa Batangas, hindi mo napasama dito sa search mo. Alam mo ba na may lupa siya, wala siyang lupa sa Batangas?
Pinatanong ko po sa isang...
tinatanong ko sa iyo kung alam
hindi
mo.
po. Dahil wala hong...
Hindi mo alam?
Sa Batangas, Your Honor? Hindi pa ho.
Bakit nga hindi mo inumpisahan doon? Yun ang logical starting point, di ba? Bakit mo pinili ang Metro Manila? Siniro mo yung search mo sa Metro Manila. Yung ba ay sarili mong desisyon o may nag-utos sa'yo?
Pinatakbo ko yung aming technical team po. Inutusan ko sila na i-fan out po sa mga malalapit na register of deeds sa Metro Manila para ho ma-search po yung properties.
Dahil nga,
malapit po sa
alam mo na
central.
Na meron siyang condominium dito sa Metro Manila.
Yes, Your Honor. Sa Bellagio property, Your Honor.
Yung Bellagio.
Yes, Your Honor.
Kaya dito mo inumpisaan ng search.
Yes, Your Honor.
Bakit hindi mo itinuloy sa Batangas? Dahil alam mo na humihingi ng tulong sa iyo yung prosecution. Kaya tinawagan ka upang malaman kung may ari-arian ang nakasakdal sa impeachment case na ito na hindi niya isinama sa kanyang SALN. Di ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Bakit?
Meron mo akong inutusan doon, ang nireporto sa amin.
Inutusan?
Sa Batangas po.
Sa inutusan saan?
Sa opisina ko po, kung tanungin, kasi hindi pa ako computerized doon, so there is no way.
Kaya may inutusan ka sa Batangas?
Yes, Your Honor. Isang RD namin doon, ang sabi sa amin po, on the record, wala po. Doon sa isang lugar.
Wala sa Register of Deeds sa Batangas?
Sa Santo Tomas ata yun, Tanawan. Tanawan, Santo Tomas, Your Honor.
Bakit hindi sa Kapitolyo? Nandun ang Register of Deeds ng probinsya. Register of Deeds ng lungsod ng Tanawan, nandun sa Tanawan. Register of Deeds ng lungsod sa Batangas City, nandun sa Batangas City. Bakit hindi mo pinapuntahan yun? Kung sa Lipa, nandun sa Lipa. Kung sa ano pa ba ang mga syudad sa Batangas? Yun lang. Malbar. Yung mga ibang syudad doon. Bakit hindi mo pina-search doon? Yun lang ang gusto kong maliwanagan sa kaisipan ko. Bakit dito ka nag-umpisa sa Maynila, hindi doon sa kanyang probinsya?
No, probably, Your Honor, because it's a convenience, Your Honor, of generating title search to the computer, Your Honor.
Ay, gusto mo madalian na magkaroon ng ebidensya kontra sa nakasakdal, ganun ba?
Actually, yung mga dokumentong unang inirelease namin, nasa opisina ko na po. Kasi po, even before that, humihingi na po ang mga kaibigan natin sa media, pero hindi ho natin nirelease. Kaya
hindi yung issue tinatanong ko sa iyo kung nasa iyo na yung mga dokumento.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yung ginawa mo na search, bakit hindi ka nag-umpisa doon sa logical point of starting the search yung probinsya nung nakasakdal na opisyal ng gobyerno.
Maybe I should have done it. I should have done it, Your Honor.
It never occurred to you, no?
Yes, Your Honor.
At inumpisa mo sa Maynila sapagkat siguro sinabi, nagmamadali kami na kailangan namin ng ebidensya, ganun ba?
Hindi naman po.
Ha?
Available na po yung mga ebidensya na yun, yung mga titulo po. They were available when they
Available
requested.
na nung tinawagan ka ni
Yes, Your Honor.
tinawagan ka ni Congressman Tupas?
Yes, Your Honor.
Paano mo, bakit available? Wala naman sa request sa iyo, available na sa iyong kamay.
Yes, Your Honor. Because ang mga media po ay humihingi na noon pa. So when they requested...
Teka muna.
Yes, Your Honor.
Nag-search ka na nung hinihingi sa iyo ng media? ganun
Yes,
ba?
Your Honor.
Bakit?
Well, I thought that it would be a best preparation, Your Honor, because they are asking. So I had the registers
Alam
of the
mo,
search.
kompanyero, medyo malabo itong istorya natin eh. Kaya hindi ka panipaniwala na nasa iyong kamay yung ebidensya na hinihingi ni Atty. Tupas, Congressman Tupas, na hindi pa naman humihingi sa iyo ng ayuda o tulong. Kaya yun ang dahilan kung bakit nagtataka yung mga kasama kung mga hukom dito, mga senador, sa iyong testimonya sa amin. Kaya ipaliwanag mo lamang para sa ganon, maklaro yan.
Yes, Your Honor.
Dahil may kaugnayan dyan, yan sa kredibilidad ng iyong deklarasyon dito.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hindi ka paniniwalaan eh. Pag
Yes, Your Honor.
ganyan.
Previous to the request.
The floor
Yes,
is
Your
yours.
Thank you, Mr. President.
A half a second interjection with the permission of the presiding officer and Senator Marcos. Kasi po kanina po sa katanungan ko po, sabi po ng ating testigo, 3 araw niya trinabaho. Ang sagot po ko, Senate President, ready na po sa kanyang kamay ang mga dokumento. Kaya nga lang po, iba lang yung kanyang sagot. Mr. President, he answered me that it took him 2 to 3 days to come up with a document, a 2-page document, using the search engine. Now he tells you that the documents were readily available because the media were asking for it. So it just causes more perplexity and confusion. That's all.
Thank you for that, Senator Laura. Sang-ayon ako sa pananaw ng aming Senate President na Attorney Diaz, medyo malabo yung istorya natin. Kaya tatanong ko na, siguro 2 tanong na lang. Hindi kaya sa nung paghanda nitong listahan na ito ay may nakabulong sa iyo?
Hindi
Hindi pa ako tapos. Paano mo sasagot? Meron man nakabulong sa iyo na hindi bale mas malaki yung listahan, mas maganda yung pang PR. Kaya mas mahabang listahan, mas maganda. So basta habaan mo para mas magamit ng mas magamit ng kung sino para pagandahin yung kaso kontra kay Chief Justice, at least in the press.
Hindi po.
Wala naman.
Never po.
Hindi mo naman naisip dahil kaibigan mo ng mga taga-administrasyon, ay ikaw kasama ka sa executive, ay hindi naisip para tulungan ko kasi yun ang ninanais ng ating ng administrasyon, yun ang ninanais, tulungan ko kaya habaan ko yung listahan para mas maganda para sa kaso kontra kay Chief Justice na napakaraming ibabanggit na mga lupain.
Hindi po.
Hindi mo naisip yun. Well, okay. In that case, if that is your testimony here, that is all, Mr. Witness. That is all, Mr. President. Thank you.
Majority Floor Leader.
Senator Pia Cayetano, finally.
The gentle lady from Taguig.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, earlier you were asked by Senator Miriam, why did you not go over the names that appeared after you made your general search, no? Ang sinagot niyo po ay you do not want to be accused of bias. Tama ho ba yun? That's
Yes,
what you
ma'am.
said, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Tama ho. Bakit niyo naisip na ma-accuse kayo ng bias? Did you have any discussion? Did you offer to sift through that and to provide details? Pero, or with your staff, did that come up na baka naman pag nilinis ko to, sabihin tumutulong ako sa defense. Why would you think that you would be accused of bias?
Because I will be deciding what documents to include from what not to include, Your Honor.
But, Mr. Witness, hindi ba ang search na hinihingi sa inyo is with respect, again, I will read your letter, information relative to real estate properties registered in the name of Renato Corona et al. Actually, hindi ko talaga alam kung ano yung et al doon. Baka nga may Pia Cayetano dyan. Kasi I don't have the letter of Congressman Tupa. So et al, I don't know who et al is, but I'm assuming that that is the wife and the children. May ganun kayong testimony yesterday, no? Tama ho ba?
And the namesakes, Your Honor.
Of Renato Corona.
And the Coronados, what? And the other,
Castillo and Del Castillo.
yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Mr. Witness, it was your judgment call that any person with the name of Corona, any person na may Castillo, kahit na Del Castillo married to another person, should be included in that list. And you did not think that instead of bias, you might be accused of gross negligence.
I consider this, Your Honor, as a transmittal letter of materials that should be used, Your Honor. And how they will use it, I leave it up to them, Your Honor.
Mr. Witness, I am not asking you if you know or if you thought of how they will use it. I am asking you if, as the head of an agency, it does not occur to you that your job requires yung prudence na ginagamit nyo, yung care, yung diligence, is that naaayon naman dun sa request na binigay sa inyo. Paano naman ho naging kamag-anak ni Del Castillo married to another person? Yung Castillo na son-in-law ni Chief Justice.
Name search, Your Honor. General name search lang yun.
Mr. Witness, I submit, kahit high school, kahit grade 7, they will be able to distinguish that. And I am not even asking you to put any statements there that would go beyond your natural call of duty. Yung qualification lang. I am as frustrated as my colleagues because you refuse to acknowledge, you refuse to see the effect of your statement. I will show you what is the effect of your refusal to exercise diligence in conducting that search. The result of that is that ABS-CBN, TV Patrol, Inquirer.net, and Radyo Inquirer, and naiwan ko yung iPad ko doon, pero meron akong video copy ng, I think it was an ABS news report, all state here, show this document that was produced by your office, and I will put on record. Impeachment panel spokesman Miro Kimbo said that based on the records from the Land Registration Authority, Corona and his family have 45 properties, houses and condo units. This is the effect of your search, which you refused to even qualify in any way just because you do not want to be accused of bias. Ito po yung result nun. Further, Kimbo says that in a letter to Iloilo Representative Neil Tupas, I really do not want to comment on the merits, but there are already the certificate of titles and condominium certificates, referring again to the 45 properties. That is the effect, Mr. President. Mr. President, I point this out again because this goes down in our journal. This is how future impeachment cases will be conducted. May I ask, Mr. President, to the witness, who, after you produced this letter, well, I suppose this letter was sent to the office of Congressman Tupas, or it was picked up from your office?
I think it was delivered, Your Honor.
Delivered.
By my staff, Your Honor.
To whom? Would you know?
To the office of Congressman Tupas, Your Honor.
And to the spokespersons also, because I have to also put on record many times the prosecutors who present themselves in court hide behind the cloak of they differentiate themselves from the statements being made by the spokesperson, and I for one consider them one and the same. But the truth of the matter is the record showed that the spokesperson used the document that came from you. And that is why I would like to see that you acknowledge the effect of the statements you made. Because the statements you made here in court the two opposing panels had easily, it appears to me, easily agreed that from 45, it is down to more than a half. More than a half of the documents you certified were thrown out. You could have easily done that. Now, let me move to another point. In response to Senator Marcos' query, kung ginagamit nyo pa ho yung computer, ang sagot nyo, you've disabled it because wala pa hong rules. And when you were asked what are these rules, you said that the rules would require some degree of responsibility from the requester para hindi maabuso. Something to that effect.
Yes, Your Honor.
What about the responsibility of the issuer? Don't you think the rules should also govern the issuing agency?
Yes, it should, Your Honor.
Well, then, I think you can now start implementing that, because from your testimony, it does not seem to appear that you acknowledge that there is some sense of responsibility that must come from your office with respect to issuing
Yes, Your Honor.
these certifications.
That is why we're coming up with the rules, Your Honor.
That is not what you told Senator Marcos. You simply told Senator Marcos yung mga nagre-request. Ang gusto rin niyang mailisip sa inyo is that meron din basihan yung bakit din kayo naglalabas.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I think this is my final question. Mr. President, the witness also, the letter is a result of a request, and the letter is in fact dated January 10. So alam natin that impeachment had commenced, no? So when this document was released in January 10, as far as you know, this was the only time that
I wouldn't know, Your Honor.
you wouldn't know. May I just ask prosecution, would this be the first time that the prosecution had become aware of the supposedly 45 properties, which is now stipulated
The
to
whole
be
45, that was the only time. But before that, Your Honor, we already have some documents with respect to the other properties. In January 3, we released the Bellagio TCTs and other documents. And at the time that the document, at least the 45 properties were released, the document, we already have some documents with respect to the other properties,
With the
condominiums,
permission
land.
of the lady Senator from Taguig, may I ask this from the Chief Prosecution Counsel? When you made the call to Attorney Diaz, according to him, you made the call. Did you specify to him the area where the search ought to be made regarding real estate property of the respondent, Chief Justice Corona and his wife?
I did not, Your Honor. Our presumption is it's the entire country.
The entire country?
Yes, that was what I was thinking when I made that request.
And you did not specify that it was limited to Metro Manila.
We did not, Your Honor.
Yeah. But when he submitted his listing, you did not ask him to conduct further search out in the provinces, especially in his home province of Batangas?
No more, Your Honor, because as I said, our presumption is that it's a central system.
You were satisfied already with the quantum of alleged titles of real estate found to be the property of the respondent Chief Justice?
With respect to the, I cannot answer that, Your Honor. But my presumption is that it's already a nationwide search because
That was enough for the prosecution.
at the time that was enough, Your Honor.
You were no longer interested if indeed he has amassed other properties located in this province of Batangas.
We were still interested, Your Honor, because on subsequent to that, and it was testified on already by the witness, the prosecution wrote a letter, And this was signed by 2 members of the prosecution team.
But what was the result of that request of the other members of the prosecution? Did they pursue that request after you got the number of 45 alleged real property of the respondent in Metro Manila?
This is the letter dated 12 January 2012, Your Honor. And the prosecution here, signed by 2 members of the panel, was just asking for certified true copies. So
Of titles?
only titles, and there was no follow-up on the nationwide search.
And did they state where the search ought to be made?
No. No, Your Honor.
They did not say that it's confined to Metro Manila.
No, they did not. We did not.
And when you received the information, the list from the LRA covering alleged 45 titles, you were satisfied already that that was enough. Although you wanted to pin down the respondent with respect to assets not included in his SAL-N.
At the time, we were satisfied, Your Honor.
At that time, and
Yes.
how about now?
Now we are.
Are you
Now
satisfied?
that we know that it's not nationwide, it's just confined to Metro Manila, then
You want
to
to
put
search?
it bluntly, we're not satisfied.
Do you want to search further? It's too late. We're about to.
I know, we know that,
You
Your
have
Honor.
to close your evidence.
We know that.
Yeah.
We have already rested our case.
Anyway,
Mr.
do
President.
you have any further question from this witness?
Mr. President, I would like to finish my
Yes,
questions.
please. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it is okay, Mr. President. So, Mr. Witness, it appears now that you could also be accused of bias by the prosecution that you limited your search to Metro Manila, when in fact there may be other properties elsewhere. Is that not correct?
They may, Your Honor.
That's what I'm saying, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, I am simply trying to drive home my point that when you indicate the parameters of your search, such as the area of your search, if there are any timelines, if there are any names that you specifically punched in, you are not biased. You are simply diligent. And that is what you are expected to be.
Yes, Your Honor.
I just wanted to be sure that my statement was noted. Final question is as a follow-up to the response of prosecution. So when the letter of LRA administrator was received on January 10 indicating the 45 properties, the prosecution, and for that matter the congressmen and congresswomen who filed the impeachment complaint were not aware of these properties. And I will assume that the awareness, my statement is directed to the prosecution. The prosecution and the congressman who signed the impeachment were not aware of these properties. And the information they had was simply as indicated in the complaint. And my complaint is on the table, but I looked at it before I stood up, and it says suspected of having certain properties. And then there was a property identified in Taguig. Nothing in any, by any imagination at the magnitude of the 45 properties indicated here.
On January 10, when we received that letter, we're not aware of all the properties listed, including the canceled properties, but we already have in our possession most of the properties that we introduced as evidence and admitted by this honorable tribunal, meaning the condominiums, the two properties sold in 2010. We already had documents in our possession on January 10.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Session suspended for 1 minute. I will be just 1 minute.